career path. You want to know practical steps we can take. At this point, you want the roadmap. For me, I didn't have a roadmap. So I wanted to become a journalist so bad. My English teacher told me that I read well and it's good because I can become a journalist. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And that was it. So there was no roadmap for me. I didn't know that if you want to become a journalist, you start from school, right at level 100, identify a media house and work. Me, I didn't know. Nemusa, I was just there. So and I messed up. But through that, I also identified my passion, which of course, every challenge is also another opportunity. So how do we, if maybe for some of us here, somebody might have gone through that or somebody might be going through that, how are we able to draw the roadmap? I want to become a CEO of a company. Where do I start from?
All right, thank you. So I remember when Teresa was talking about her dad's direction, and I remember when I came to Ygln, my mother didn't know what it meant to go to Ygln. All she was excited about was the fact that they say her son is in Ygln and he's the only one from the village in Ygln. Right, so it didn't mean anything to her to say you had the first class, you had the second class, you failed. It's like she didn't know anything about that. So for me, what was important to me at Ygln was the fact that after Ygln I should be able to go back home and give my mother money. Because she didn't know what it meant to come with a certificate. I graduated with political science, so I had a first class, so I had a third class, so she should see an improvement in my life and for that matter, her life.
That's it.
So that was what was important to me when I was in Ygln. The driving force was the fact that how do I fulfill that, if you like, a promise that I had made to myself and to my family. So that guided me to all the other things that I did till today. But most importantly, I think that we should be able to be very honest with ourselves. You cannot lie to yourself. If you can do this, you know you can do it. Yeah. If you cannot do it, you know you cannot do it. Yeah. If you admit that you cannot do it, but you are prepared to learn, that's a different ballgame, right? But you know. Now, when we're talking about fear, I was like, okay, it's okay to fail, but you shouldn't be excited about failing, right? If you did all the good things or the right things and you still go ahead to fail, you know genuinely you did the right things. If you didn't do the right things and you fail and you come and tell us that they said it's okay to fail, you are lying to yourself and you know it. So for me, I think that to create a career path beyond everything, like you have that idea, you have a calling, you have a problem you want to solve, I think that you should be able to assess yourself. Self-assessment, very critical. By assessing yourself means that you know what your strengths are, you know what your weaknesses are, you know what you can do and what you cannot do. And like our HR consultant said, if you know the things you cannot do, you form a team, you form synergy, you look for people who can do the things that you cannot do. So look for people to complement your skills and efforts. So it is that broad team that will put resources together, will put skills together, will put energies together to be able to execute. Most often, I remember when I was studying in SID, my lecturer used to say that it's better to have 1% of something than 100% of nothing. So if you say you're the CEO, I'm the founder, I'm the executive director, I'm the chief operating officer, I'm the HR, you are the everything of nothing. So the point I'm making is that if we assess ourselves and we know what our strengths are and what our weaknesses are, we can better position ourselves to grow in whatever career path that we choose. There are a lot of people out there that are willing to help. There are a lot of people out there that we can seek help from. And there are a lot of people out there that we can also help. I was telling my group that there's a man in Apple, I've forgotten his name, is Johnny something. I told my group I'll search for the video and share with them. He designed every single product in Apple, but nobody knows him. He's called Johnny something. I learned that when I was doing my MBA with the SIPs. So the point is that wherever you find yourself, just excel in what you do. And by excelling in what you do, you need to be committed to continuous learning. So that's why I like the point where you told the teacher that you should also improve. Because we are in a very dynamic world, and whatever career path you choose is very dynamic, and it's growing at the rate at which things are changing, especially those of us in the tech space. You agree with me? The rate at which things are changing, new ideas, new programming languages are coming up. It's so unheavy joking. In 5 years, if you close your eyes and open your eyes again, you think like it's 100 years. The kind of things we started doing when we started our NGO and our companies in 2010, a lot of the things you don't find anybody doing them again. So after you assess your strengths and you commit to a career path, you should also commit to continuously improve yourself. And then also you should make time to have industry experience. It shouldn't be every time that you go out to look for a job. Also go out there and look for an experience. So for example, I might not need a data analyst, or I might not need your services at my company. But if you come to me as a young person saying that, oh, I am doing this and this and that, I want to learn some experience, so I want to be an intern in your company. How much will it cost me to have you as an intern? I'll be glad to have that. Okay, you've come to learn something. You didn't come to seek for a job. So it is that industrial attachment that will give you an experience, an exposure that you wouldn't have in school. And I'm glad Eva is bringing these things up. There's a disconnect between industry and school. We say these things and we hear them every day. And it looks like we are not doing much about it. So the truth of the matter is that there's a serious disconnect. Almost all the computer science students that come to my office or my company, NASCO Tech, we train all of them before we assign them. All of them, in as much as I admit that they are, of course, some are very good, others are not. It also has to do with individual ability and individual commitments. But the truth of the matter is that all of them, you look at some of the programs or the projects they do in school, averagely, so let's forget the excellent students, those who are very serious and have done a lot of learning themselves and all that. But you put all together averagely, you realize that I have to train everybody who comes to my office has to undergo a compulsory or a mandatory 3 months bootcamp training before we assign you to a company to work with. So you should be committed yourself to make sure that you are a better person. Make sure that you are a better version of yourself than yesterday. And by that, you should be able to set realistic goals. Yeah, sometimes we are so ambitious that we set goals and we are unable to attain those goals and we get disappointed. So if we set realistic goals, those become stepping stones for us to decide on how we are going to achieve them. I don't think that is we need to be over ambitious. And it doesn't also mean that we need to relax or be lazy at what we want to achieve. It depends on who defines what realistic goals are. But like I said, if you are true to yourself, these are things that you can be honest about yourself and know that yes, this is what I want to do, this is how I'm going to do it, and I intend to arrive at this destination at this time. And you can mark your time, you can set your alarm, you can set your clock, and then you can decide, or you can design a pace at which you do these things. So for me as a young entrepreneur, I'm excited about the fact that we have very smart young people in this country. We just need to find the right connections, find the right environment. It is of course difficult out there, but we are determined. I see a lot of determination in our young people, because if you come to my office, no one is more than 34 years in my office. An office of about 35 people, young people, right? And you see that these guys are so smart. These guys are so hardworking. Now, what we do mainly is that we train these young people and we assign them to Spanish companies. I work more in Spain as well. And we develop this enterprise from our tech NGO, NASCO Feeding Minds, where we establish computer centers and train kids in ICT literacy. So from 2010, we have trained people in ICT literacy. Now we realized that it wasn't just enough to train them in schools how to do what's Excel, what those things. Because we are told that Africa has a very young age, and we are told that in the near future, the foreign world is aging. Europe is aging, Japan is aging, US is aging, India is aging. And slowly Africa that is getting younger. But it's not enough to have such a young population. So our lecturers are here. What it means is that they have a lot of work to make these young people a skilled labor force for the next century. So at NASCO Tech, what we do is that we pick you, train you. We don't just train you, but we also train you and assign you to a role. The biggest company we work for in Spain is Santander, because of La Liga. All of you know Santander. Now, when we started, because they had sponsored us, they had given us money to establish computer centers and train kids, we go back to them and say, look, you have helped us to train a lot of young people. These boys are now ready, and we are looking for work for them. And COVID has come to teach us that we can do remote work. So in the beginning, they felt like, okay, we know you have a very beautiful story, you're doing a very nice work. Okay, no problem, let's try them and see. So they give us very basic work, and we assign these boys to it, and the boys excel, and they're like, wow. What it means is that they do not expect that we'll be able to get boys or we'll be able to do these things. Now they give us some more work, and these boys are doing it. And that is how we started to grow. So what it means is that if you are given an opportunity and you are not adequately prepared to execute, you lose it, and that might be the end for other people. And the reason why I decided to work with young people is that, and also pick people who are need to train, is that I felt like I've been given an opportunity. Somebody just saw me and said, okay, no problem, let me try. So I don't look for experts. I'm looking for people who are willing to learn, who are willing to grow, who are motivated, or who are willing to be motivated. And that is key. You might be the best. If you do not possess these qualities, forget it. Because it is that attitude that will open the door for the next person. Because we started with, let's say, one person was something there. If that one person had failed or had not executed, they wouldn't have taken on the second person. And so on, so on, so on, so on, so on. So for me, I think that this basic principles will set the tone for a career, a successful career.
Thank you very much. So self-assessment is key, knowing your strengths to better yourself, continuous learning, and having industry experience.